Okay. I totally didn't forget that yesterday was actually Monday. Don't even try it. 100% not what happened. Well, I mean, no. Actually, yeah. I'll go with I forgot, because otherwise I would have actually been avoiding streaming, and I don't want to do that. Okay. I do enjoy streaming. Or Ace Attorney. There's that there, got that open. Alright. Let's go. Farewell my turnabout. It's time for more Ace Attorney. What the hell happened? Oops, game capture. Should I just have like 12 game captures open, one for each game that I'm currently playing? Just so I don't have to actually think about shit. that may be a good idea actually. Just have the game capture, just 3 different game capture windows, and just they won't capture anything if the window's not open. That's not bad. I don't have to set it up every time I switch back from Doki Doki or something. Anyway, it's time for Ace Attorney. What the hell happened? Matt on guard. Profiles. So, what do I remember? I was at an award ceremony with Will, Maya, and Pearl. We were, Will invited us to go see, he's only 24. Jesus Christ. I'm as old as Will Powers? Holy fuck. Still can't believe Francisco's fucking 18, good lord. Fucking middle-aged, he looks as old as Gumshoe. Anyway, what? Went to a gala, an award show, and, Juan Corrida, the star of the Jammin' Ninja, was, supposedly murdered by Matt on guard, who is our client, who plays the Nickel Samurai. What we had figured had happened was, like 6 months ago? I don't remember when it happened. About a while ago, I think about 6 months, I think it was 6 months. Celestine Pax killed herself, it was 2 years ago, okay. 2 years ago, Celestine Pax killed herself shortly after becoming the manager of Juan Corrida. They never found her suicide note, though. She probably wrote one, but didn't find it. Her apprentice, Adrian Andrews, recently started cozying up to Juan Corrida in order to try and find the suicide note of Celeste Impacts. Somewhere in that, we think that Adrian Andrews killed Juan Corrida. I don't know whether they actually found the suicide note or not, but for whatever reason, they are super, like, a mountain of evidence pointing to Mount on Guard. And someone has kidnapped Maya. The killer has kidnapped Maya. and told us that we need to get a 1-day acquittal for Matt on guard. Why? I don't know. Adrian did it. That's what it looks like. Dude, no way. That woman couldn't do anything like that. In court today, there will be a mountain of evidence that will implicate you. A mountain of evidence? I'm certain there's someone out there trying very hard to pin this whole thing on you. Please, Mr. Lawyer. Dude, like I said yesterday, I'm refreshing like spring breeze, alright? I can't let any sort of scandal ruin that. I understand. Well, it's almost time. Oh, Maya! Oh, Mia! We must get a complete acquittal today. I know. I can't focus on my situation right now. Or Pearl's either. No matter what, I have to focus on winning this case by the end of today. Indeed. Well, let's get going. Oh, it's him. This is right. Good morning. This is it, Mr. Attorney. The day of the trial. Maya, she's unharmed, right? Well, when I checked on her earlier this morning, she seemed a bit, how shall I say, tired. Don't worry, people don't die that easily. Besides, what you really should be concentrating on is winning today's trial. For my sake as well as yours, you must win today's trial. Which is why I sent you a little present this morning. Present? What in the world would you want to give me? You'll figure it out once the trial starts. And even if you don't like my gift, I expect you to graciously accept it, win the day's contest, if you please. Wait! You never sent me a present? Mr. Lawyer Dude, who is that? No one. Nothing to do with you. So forget you heard anything. Dude, did your nose just get longer? Okay, are you ready for this? This should be bonkers long. Excuse you? Court is now in session for the trial of Matt on guard. The prosecution and defense ready. The defense is ready, Your Honor. I say, Mr. Wright, what happened to Miss Von Karma? I kidnapped her. If she doesn't show up, it'll be a mistrial. I don't know, Your Honor. Are you getting mad at me? Your Honor, please be quiet, bailiff. Court is in session. If you must tell me something, please keep it brief. Now then, what is it? Prosecutor Von Karma has... This morning, Miss Von Karma was shot by an unknown gunman? What the fuck? I didn't want her to get shot. I like Francisca. What? Shot? Somehow, I think this is the present that man was talking about. His present? Miss Von Karma is one of the top prosecutors in the country at the moment. If she were to disappear, it would be to your advantage. This is totally insane! Miss Von Karma, is she alright? I don't have that answer. She's alive and in stable condition. That's good. Phew. You're... Thought he'd show up. Miles! Your Honor, due to the circumstances, Miss Francisca Von Karma cannot appear in court today. I, Miles Edgeworth, will be taking her place. The prosecution is ready. Naturally. I didn't want Miles to show up like this. Fuck! Von Karma was shot in the right shoulder and is currently undergoing surgery. That's a little bit, a little bit, what is the word? Serendipitous? It's a little bit on the nose to kill her. What the fuck? Luckily, I have looked this case over and I'm familiar with the details. Prosecution seeks to prove that the guilt of Mr. Matt on guard. The court acknowledges the prosecution. Right? I finally found the answer I was struggling for on my long journey this past year. By the time this case comes to an end, you too will know the answer. Now then, Prosecution would like to call his first witness. Please bring Detective Gumshoe to the witness stand. Gumshoe! Aren't you so happy to see Edgeworth? Witness, your name and occupation.
My name's Dick Gumshoe, sir. I'm the detective down at the precinct, for now. For now. After this trial's over, I'm supposed to turn in my badge, sir.
Detective Gumshoe? The prosecution has no need for a depressed witness. Lift your head up and face forward like a proud officer, Detective Dick Gumshoe.
Yes, sir.
I'm so happy Edgeworth has finally gotten a witness to say his name and occupation. Like, in full. Oh, it's so awesome. Now, let's have your testimony. If we want to explore the various facets of this case, we must start with that. Get ready, Phoenix. This is going to be one very rough fight. Yeah. Have to be with Edgeworth as my opponent. The answer he was struggling for. Interesting. Show me this answer you finally found, Edgeworth. Fucking Francisco was shot. Jesus Christ.
The murder happened after the Heroes Award ceremony, sir. The victim, Juan Corrida, was found dead in his hotel room. After looking into the cause of death, we believe he was definitely murdered, sir. At first, we thought there was something suspicious about the empty guitar case. However, we later found the guitar case had nothing to do with the murder. After the award ceremony ended, the victim was alone in his room. Yes, sir. Both the victim and the defendant went alone to their rooms, sir. I see. Mr. Wright, you may begin your cross-examination.
Bare facts of the case. Could you please give us a brief timeline of what happened after the ceremony?
Okay, pal. The ceremony started at 6 p.m. It ended around 8 p.m. Then there was a short break. The special post-ceremony show was supposed to start in the lobby 30 minutes later.
And that's when the victim's body was found, correct? Which is to say, the murder occurred during that 30-minute break.
Please continue with your testimony, detective. The victim, Juan Corrida, was found dead in his hotel room.
The person who discovered the victim's body was Adrian Andrews, correct?
Yeah? Who is this Adrian Andrews you're talking about? She's the defendant, not on guard's manager. She's a real pretty lady, sir. Ah, so she's a pretty lady. Wonder if she will grace us with her presence. When the post-ceremony show was about to start, she went to get Mr. Ungard. After visiting his room, she went next to the victim. She next went to the victim's room to get him for the show, sir. I see. And that's when she found the victim's body. After looking into the cause of death, we believe he was definitely murdered, sir.
The cause of death? Wasn't it because Mr. Corrida was stabbed in the chest?
Only a careless amateur would believe something so brainless as that, pal. Take a good hard look at the crime photo. Now, a real pro's attention would be drawn to here, to this bandana. Banana. His bandana, sir. That's the thing wrapped tightly around his neck, sir. Ah, yes, I see. His banana-scented bandana.
Then what about the knife?
It seemed to have stuck in the victim's chest on purpose after his death.
We don't have a picture of the... I thought... I don't actually remember what the Jammin' Ninja actually looked like. So he was strangled. I thought he was... Yeah, no, stabbed with a... That's not deep... Nowhere near deep enough to kill him. I guess he was strangled.
We have a crafty murderer on our hands here.
Strangled with a scarf, then stabbed with a knife. 8:15 p.m.
At first, we thought there was something suspicious about the empty guitar case.
Why did you think that?
Because it was empty, pal.
Yeah, no, the Jammin' Ninja does have a bandana.
The Jammin' Ninja doesn't go anywhere without his bright red guitar. And we couldn't find it anywhere at the scene of the crime. Oh, then how about this theory? A fan really wanted the guitar and did the crime to get it. How's that? We thought of that too, but...
But?
The only fingerprints on the guitar case were the victims.
Only the victims, huh?
I see. So much for my theory then.
Empty. There's some water, but only on top of the lid. Where's Karita's fingerprints?
However, we later found out that the guitar case had nothing to do with the murder.
What convinced you that it had nothing to do with the case?
The guitar wasn't at the Gatewater Hotel that night. Well then, where was it? The bright red guitar was eventually found at the TV studio. The victim, one Karita, had apparently only taken the case with them, sir. So you mean he forgot to put the guitar inside the case? Yes, sir. Even when he was on stage for the ceremony, he didn't have his guitar.
So that guitar case was empty even before he got to the hotel?
Yeah, that's right. So it really had nothing to do with the case after all.
I believe that is enough. First, the victim was choked to death with his bandana. Then, after the victim was dead, the killer deliberately stabbed him with a knife. Which brings me to my next point. Why then did the police arrest Matt on guard? Because there was a reason enough to suspect him. Here it comes. Looks like Edgeworth is back in full swing.
Very well, Detective Gumshoe. Please testify about this matter. Yes, sir.
I arrest on guard. Where's my water? Here it is.
Matt Ungard and Juan Karita were huge rivals with each other. They each saw the other guy as in his way. That was motive enough in my book. As for evidence, there's the Jammin' Ninja's button. It was ripped off of the ninja costume and was found in Matt Ungard's hakama. The defendant's fingerprints were also all over the knife. The defendant brought the knife for the crime, which makes this a premeditated murder. So the defendant's fingerprints were found on the knife used in the stabbing. It was sort of sticky on the handle, so the fingerprints came up pretty clearly, sir.
Knife. Bears the victim's blood. Matt Ungard's fingerprints. In the grip, Gatewater is engraved.
And there's the button. That was found in the defendant's clothes, was it? And is this button also covered in blood? Yes. We know that the blood on it is the victim's blood, sir.
What? Jammin' Ninja's button was ripped from his costume, was covered in Karita's blood, found in Matt Ungard's hakama.
All this points very clearly to the defendant, doesn't it?
Oh god, is it ever raining? Man, this stream might get cut short if I lose power. Let me adjust my gate. Noise gate. Holy shit. Wow, alright, that's fucking loud. I'm sitting right by my window, so you're probably gonna hear a lot of that. Let me double check that the audio's working, alright? Wow, alright, that's fucking loud. I'm sitting right by my window, so you're probably gonna hear a lot of that. Let me double check that the audio's working, alright? Okay, it sounds fine, but let me just wait for this to catch up and I'll double check it. Man, I'm a moron. I fucking muted YouTube when I was going to check the audio. How the fuck does that work? Man, I'm a moron. I fucking muted YouTube when I was going to check the audio. Alright, that sounds good. So I will just have to talk louder to get over this fucking noise gate. Probably will hear me clicking and clacking less. Why would the button be covered in blood if the knife wound was inflicted after death? That doesn't make sense.
Well, this points very clearly to the defendant, doesn't it?
Yes, it most certainly does, Your Honor. Ready to give in yet, right? I'll find the hole in your argument somehow. You can press as hard as you like, just hurry up with your usual pointless questions. Ugh. I rest on guard.
At On Guard and Juan Corrida were huge rivals with each other. They each thought the other guy was in his way. That was motive enough in my book.
Gamma Ninja's button. Do you have any proof that the button belonged to the victim?
Huh? What do you mean, pal?
Oh, let me put it this way. I'm asking if you have any evidence to back up your claim that this button was ripped off the Gamma Ninja's costume.
Huh? Can't you tell just by looking at it? And the victim's blood is on it.
Anyone could have smeared that blood on it there afterwards.
Mr. Edgeworth, help me, sir.
Alright, I knew I had this piece of evidence. Now to reel this one in. Thread. Huh? The button was attached to the costume by thread, obviously. And that thread snapped when the button was torn off. If you match up the ends of the thread on the costume with the thread on the button, there's a perfect match.
Yeah, that's it. They're a perfect match, pal.
Don't look so smug, Gumshoe. That's Edgeworth for you. Never misses a beat. Ripped off the ninja's costume found on guard. It was ripped off the ninja costume was found in guard's Sakama. When was this button found?
Pretty soon after the body was found. We rounded up everyone who knew Mr. Corrida. Then we did a search on them all. That's when we found the button. It was almost immediately after the murder.
The police didn't have the free time to lollygag and play tricks, unlike some people. Hey, what are you trying to say about me here?
The defendant's fingerprints were also all over the knife.
No way this is premeditated murder, even if you brought the knife.
Sorry, pal, this isn't some pocket knife. It wasn't full, so it's not great for walking around with either.
Ah, well, this is not good. Prosecution proved that it was a premeditated murder. We're done for. Phoenix. Yes? There's something very interesting about what the detective said just now. Think carefully before it's too late. Let's find the weakness of testimony no matter how small it may be, okay, Phoenix? Let's try the autopsy report. Your Honor, that statement contradicts this evidence. It does. I don't see anything contradictory. What? Ah, fuck. Ripped off the ninja costume when it was found in Mount Gatakama. When was it ripped off? It's Jammin' Ninja's button and ripped off the ninja costume. Defendant's fingerprints were also all over the knife. How were the fingerprints arranged in the knife?
Huh? What do you mean, pal?
By examining the fingerprints, you can determine how the defendant held the knife. For example, did he hold it normally or overhand?
Oh, is that what you meant? Oh, we didn't actually think of that.
I can't believe the bumbling of this department. Hopeless, were you paying attention to your testimony, right? The defendant's fingerprints were all over the knife. There's no way to determine how the knife was held in the moment of the murder.
The defendant, the owner of this... Is the defendant the owner of this knife, then?
The defendant brought the knife for the crime. Makes it a premeditated murder. Do I present the knife? It says Gatewater. Ah, tits. Save. Let's just press on that. Yeah, there it is. Not a premeditated murder. The Gatewater knife. Wait a second.
What?
The basis of your argument was that this was a premeditated murder is simply that my client brought a knife beforehand?
That's right, pal. The defendant
did not buy this knife.
Huh?
Take a good look at the handle of this knife, and you'll see what I'm talking about.
Huh? It has a Gatewater seal set into the handle. Gatewater? I think I heard that name somewhere before.
That's the name of the hotel, the Gatewater Hotel.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
The murder knife was actually property of the hotel, which means this murder was not premeditated.
Yes, that is very true. This is a very big... What is it, Mr. Edgeworth?
I'm sorry, but the defense is simply too careless. What? I think whether the crime was premeditated or not has already been determined. How so? I admit this knife is the hotel's property. There's no one currently on the police force that is dumb enough to not realize this.
But I didn't know. Oh.
Question is, where did this knife come from?
Why, that's obvious. It came from the victim, Mr. Kurita's room.
Sorry, Your Honor. That is incorrect. The victim ate a last meal before he was murdered. With that being the case, I'd like to draw the court's attention to what is on top of the table.
There's a knife and fork on the table. Then, where in the world did this knife come from?
If it pleases the court, I'd like for us to recall the room of the defendant, Mr. Matt on guard. Especially what was on top of his table. There's something missing. Perhaps it is a single knife. We investigated the leftover dishes for fingerprints, and while we were investigating, we came to the conclusion that Mr. Matt on guard's knife was missing. Mr. Angad had gone to the victim's room with the knife he had used during dinner. Why would he carry a knife to a visit? To kill, of course. And with that, I believe the prosecution has proven this was a premeditated murder.
Amazing, Mr. Edgeworth. Absolutely brilliant. A brilliantly clear deduction.
It seems like Edgeworth had this plan from the very beginning. Must be one of those traps, and I just walked headlong into it. Fuck, I don't know. Where's the original bellboy? Where is the killer? Who knows? Probably watching.
A murder weapon with the fingerprints, and a button from the victim's costume. There's quite a sizable amount of evidence here.
I can safely say that any further deliberation is a waste of your honest time. Although, I wouldn't mind if the defense were to present evidence not yet shown to the court. Evidence not yet shown? It means evidence that the court hasn't seen yet. In other words, new evidence.
What does the defense have to say about this, Mr. Wright?
Well, Phoenix. The judge is favoring the prosecution right now. If we answer with something wrong here, that gavel has been ringing out the sound of our defeat.
Mr. Wright, do you have something important and necessary to present to this court?
Yeah, sure. Here's one. One piece of evidence that catches my attention. Something that this court is yet to see.
Mr. Wright,
What could it possibly be? The wine glass. I guess? Like, what has yet to be seen by the court? That's directly involved in the murder? I think it's just the wine glass full of tomato juice. We've seen the button, we've seen the knife, we've seen the guitar case. All of this is irrelevant. It's just the glass of wine.
Mr. Wright, I will say this one more time. I do not feel this trial needs to continue at all. However, I am giving you one chance, and only one.
Just save that there. What the judge is saying, Mr. Wright, is don't try pulling one of your usual bluffs here. I messed this up. It's curtains for all of us.
We now present one and only one piece of evidence.
Good lord, that's scary.
Now then, what is this important evidence that you must show to the court?
Wine glass.
This is a wine glass, is it not?
Please look at the photo of the crime scene one more time. The scene is a mess because of the victim's struggle against his assailant. The vase was broken, his makeup is all over the floor. These are all things that were at one point sitting on top of that dresser.
Well, yes, I see your point.
However, this glass that is sitting on top of the dresser is mysteriously untouched. The only thing that had not fallen over, along with everything else the only thing that had not fallen over with everything else is this wine glass. This piece of evidence is more than strange enough to warrant further consideration. Well, what do you have to say to that?
Well, yes. It is a little peculiar.
Yes, isn't it? I thought it was. Way to go, Phoenix. You, man. Really knocking it out of the park with this one.
You can stop looking at me with those puppy dog eyes of yours now. Mr. Edgeworth.
What is it, Your Honor?
Your opinion.
You don't need my opinion. Because there is no special meaning to that glass. What? It's safe to say that that glass was set there after the crime took place. By the person who discovered the body, Adrian Andrews, for example. She could have easily been so shocked that she set the glass down without thinking.
It does sound very plausible, Mr. Wright.
Miss Andrews really have set that glass down without thinking. I'm gonna say there's no way, and I'm gonna pull out this tabloid. I kinda just gotta play all my cards as they come, right? There's no way. If I appear weak here, the trial is over. I can look for my proof later. For now, I should trust my instinct and point with certainty. I just might fall for it if you're thought-provoking enough. The defense would like to challenge the prosecution's theory. We would like to see something that proves it was Miss Andrews who set the cup on the table.
Just turn the situation on its head yet again, as usual. Mr. Edgeworth, do you have any proof to back up your claim?
No way he has any. He's just bluffing. Unlike Mr. Wright, I never say anything unless I have evidence to support it. What? You're not thinking hard enough today, right? Did you think that this wine glass escaped my notice? Then, of course it had been thoroughly inspected for fingerprints. Fingerprints. There are only one set of fingerprints left on this wine glass.
Only one? Well, whose were they?
They were not the victims nor the defendants. Rather, they were of one Adrian Andrews. What? Filled with tomato juice, bears Andrews' fingerprints. That's why I said that the person who had discovered the body had left it there. Are we done here, right, Mr. Wright? I believe he fell into another trap. Miss Andrews was probably holding the wine glass when she went to see Mr. Corrida. But upon seeing his dead body, she was stunned and set the glass down on the dresser.
What you just said makes a lot of sense.
Tisk, tisk, tisk. Now do you see, right? You can't change any part of my scenario as it explains everything all too well. Ugh. I've thought long and hard about this past year, about what it means to be a prosecutor. And from here on out, I will show you the answer I've come to discover.
Wait a second, Mr. Edgeworth. I think the prosecution has proved enough. Provided enough evidence for me to enter my verdict.
Unfortunately, I cannot allow you to pass judgment yet. Yeah, man, fucking rain. Prosecution has yet another witness we would like the court to hear from. Another witness. Yes. Bailiff, please bring in the next witness. What in the world is Mr. Edgeworth thinking?
Wendy.
Now then, witness, please state your name and occupation.
Ah, here we go again.
Witness, your name and occupation, please. Ah! Hey. Gotcha! Ah! I wonder what happened to that calm composure he had earlier.
Oh, Edgy boy, it's been what, a year since we last met, hasn't it? You should be more happy to see me.
I saw the report with her testimony, but who knew that under that helmet? It was that wicked witch of the witness stand. Wicked witch of the witness stand.
I tell you this time, I know what I'm supposed to do. So today I'm gonna tell you anything and everything.
Even things that don't have to do with a terrible crime.
Miss Witness, that terrible crime is all the court needs to know.
Ray gun.
Oof. Shush, I'm talking to my dear Edgy Wedgy right now. Don't interrupt us, Gramps.
Yes, ma'am.
No. Please, by all means, interrupt her. Please. Ahem. Anyway, witness, your testimony, please.
It's true that when they say that youth are hot-headed nowadays, not that I mind at all, Edgy. Now then, what should I start with?
The witness was on security detail at the hotel on the night of the murder. How about name and occupation? We all know it's Wendy Oldbag, but, like, for the court, please. Is that correct, Miss Oldbag?
It was a great job being able to see my dear one. It was almost too much for my little heart to handle.
You mean, you were a fan of the victim?
Look, everyone is crazy over that on guard, saying he's cute in a fresh way or something. But not me. I wouldn't say anything so silly. After all, I have no interest in that little child like him. I'm really interested in a real man, Juan Carita.
They're both 21 though. Those two are the same age. Yeah, you got me.
Anyway, as I was saying, I was pacing in front of the room that night.
Very well. Please tell the court what you witnessed the night of the murder.
Leave to me, Edgy Poo.
Oldbag's married. She's got a ring on her finger.
Anyway, after the ceremony, I went to pace around in the hallway in front of his room. There was something that I was interested in finding out, you know? Well, since I was on the job, I made sure to keep a good eye out the whole time. That's when someone showed up. There was a man coming out of the poor Juan's room. It was an on-guard, mad on-guard, who was trying to sneak his way out of Juan's room.
Mr. On Guard came out of the victim's room.
See, it has to be him. He's the murderer.
I see. Well then, Mr. Wright, you may begin your cross-examination.
What you witness?
Anyway, after ceremony, pace around the hallway in front of his room. Miss Oldbag, what was your post that night?
Lobby. I was supposed to help set up the stage for that Triflake show. But I refused to help, I'll have you know. It was for that lead-headed samurai show. I even took out a few of the nails.
Maybe it was a good thing the show didn't go on.
Besides, that manager with the glasses seemed to be working hard at it without me. So I thought I'd take a break and spread my wings a little.
That's when you went to the hang around the victim's door? Something you were interested in? Just what was that?
It's not some little thing I can just go around telling everyone, you know. It's top secret between me and Juan. And Edgipoo, of course.
Sir Edgeworth, what is this thing she's interested in?
I have no idea.
I despise gossip, Your Honor.
Gossip. But it should prove relevant. But should it prove relevant, we can always have it appended to a testimony later. Looks like we should enforce it right now.
Will the witness stay in the vicinity of the victim's door the entire time?
Oh? Would you tell us the number of people who went in and out of Mr. Kurita's room?
I have no idea. I wasn't born so I could count things for those who didn't pay attention in class. That's why ever since I turned 20, I quit keeping track of how old I really am.
Yes, well, that would explain why your age was not included in the report.
In any case, the witness then saw someone, correct? Who in the world was that?
I'm not allowed to say. That sort of information has to be carefully guarded in front of the masses, Sonny. The man that came out of Juan's room. He was?
Yes, he was.
I'm too scared. I can't say his name out loud.
Oh, what I wouldn't give to have Francisca's whip right about now.
Well, I guess I could tell you, since he was such a bad boy anyway.
You saw my client? Are you sure about that?
Yes, say.
Really?
Annoying brat. When I say I saw someone, I saw that person.
But I get the sense of deja vu. Maybe to avoid repeating last year, I should delve into this a little bit further. Person's face. Please tell the court about the man's face in more detail.
You don't need me to tell you about his face. That soft, gentle look in his eyes, and his effeminate lips. His right eye covered by silky hair, sparkling shining teeth.
His teeth were shining?
Well, he's shining all around in this week's pinup poster, dearie.
This week's pinup. Why do you? I mean, I don't care how he looks in this week's issue. Please stay with what you saw that night.
What? Unguard's face is the same no matter where it is, you know? You whippersnapper.
So, Mr. Wright, was his testimony just now important or relevant in any way?
Very important. Of course it was important, Your Honor. And perhaps you would like to point out what part of the testimony was important. Really have to put it that way to get me to say it.
You're right. Something that much more valuable than the person's pride. That is time. Please don't waste this court's precious time with worthless questions.
Yes, Your Honor. You may remember things or be mistaken here or there, but I don't think she's lying. Human mind has also a tendency to jump off topic. She's strayed onto a few interesting side topics this time too, hasn't she? She's a sweet old lady, right? That's when... oh my god. Let's try poking and see if I can get something else. This person's clothes. Please tell the court about the man's clothes in more detail.
What a troublesome man you are. Really, as if something like that matters.
But it does.
Now, what was it? Oh yes, it was that thing.
What thing?
That gaudy thing he's always wearing, that racing jacket.
Ah, he was wearing that at the detention center too.
That thing's meant for nothing but seducing women out of their pantaloons. Men.
Right.
So, Mr. Wright.
There it is. Gotcha. I got you, old bag. It was very important. Of course it was important, Your Honor. And perhaps you would like to point out what part of that testimony was important. Don't you see it, Edgeworth? Your Honor, I request the witness said about the jacket be appended to her testimony.
I don't quite see where you're going with this, but alright. Witness, please.
Ah, well. I don't like to badmouth anyone without reason, but if I must.
Miss Oldbag,
What? Don't say my name for no reason.
You know what this is.
Ah! It's button number 2 on the Jammin' Ninja's costume.
But you know numbered? What the fuck? I know she's an obsessed fan. She identified it with a single glance.
Give it here, give it here. If you don't give it to me, I'll punish you with this.
Wow, she really is a diehard fan to want a button covered in blood. This button was discovered on Mr. Ungar's body during a full body search.
See? This button proves beyond a shadow of a doubt it was that rascal Ungard.
It was caught up in the pleats of his Nickel Samurai's kama.
See? And Ungard is the Nickel Samurai.
Witness. Now, it may just be me. I do have an active imagination. But just now, didn't you say that the defendant, Matt Ungard, was wearing his usual racing jacket?
Ah, I'm so sorry. Sorry that you judge people based on what they wear. I wore this tenderest dress, but instead I have to put up with wearing this ridiculous looking outfit. You'd agree that it was hideous, right? I got a tape recorder stuck in my chest. Let me tell you, it's heavy. It's so heavy. I wish it would switch to CDs years ago, but I'm keeping the dream alive for the kids out there. So work hard with smiling face, understand? Now take a look at the mirror. Your clothes are about as interesting as a documentary on curling. You should take a trip to Edgepool's top 10 in style.
I'm impressed I got a lot of that. Now hold your tongue still there for 1 second. So what you saw in actuality was not Mr. Ungard, the man, but Mr. Ungard, the Nickel Samurai.
What do you think about that? When you think about it, they're really one and the same anyway.
Miss Oldbag, this is a very important point we're talking about. The same goddamn mistake you made last year.
Edgepoo, do you think this is so too?
Well, it might be something worth considering. Just say it's important and agree with me for a change. Love of God, Edgeworth.
Witness, think carefully and try to remember as much as you can before you testify.
Alright, if you insist.
Should be the one sighing, not you. Who I saw.
On guard. Yes, now I remember. Nickel Samurai, that's right. It was a Nickel Samurai that I saw. Yes, it would have been convenient for him to wear his costume during the murder. I had to go to that post-ceremony stage show right after the crime, you know? Must have worn the Nickel Samurai costume when he stabbed poor Juan.
I knew it. I knew you'd say he was inside that costume.
What? Do you think there could have been someone else inside that costume? Don't be a bad little boy, thinking such rude things.
But the possibility does exist.
Youngins today, I told you, there's no way I was anyone else.
How do you know that?
Because I said so. What I say is the truth.
At least she's just as delightful a witness as she was a year ago.
Mr. Wright, you may cross-examine the witness.
Good lord. Be a little more careful with your testimony, please. Not too long ago, you said he was wearing his racing jacket, and now he's not?
Not too long ago. Let me ask you this. When you were itty-bitty, what was your grand dream?
Huh?
What did you want to be when you grew up, whippersnapper?
My dream, huh? Well, I, wanted to be a judge. Wanted to be Judge Wagner, hero of the public's court. So what?
See? And look where you are now. You're not Judge Wagner, are you? Are you?
Well,
I said earlier, who puts any weight into things like that? And now is everything. I can't be held responsible for the past. It's not like I committed perjury or anything.
when did the court become theatrics over testimonies?
All that matters is that man was inside that costume. Isn't that enough?
Judge Wagner. I got an achievement for that. And why would that be?
That way, no one could see his face, of course.
Still no advantage for him that I can see. In fact, I think that costume would make him stand out all the more.
You're such an annoying child, you know that? You disagree with everything I say.
Isn't that what you're always doing to me?
I got it. Maybe it was more troublesome for him to change in and out of his costume.
Is there anyone else scheduled to appear at the post-ceremony show?
Well, all the contestants were supposed to go on stage in a friendly gesture thing.
That included the Jammin' Ninja?
Of course that included him. That's why when On Guard came out of Dear Wa's room, I didn't give it a second thought.
I see.
Well, anyway.
So let me ask you one last time. Person you saw, it really was the Nickel Samurai?
As showy as ever. Haven't I been saying that from the very beginning?
No. You throw in the towel yet? I need to think too hard on this one. Huh? There's a contradiction in your testimony and it's sitting right in plain sight. Question is, what the contradiction means for us. I'll have to figure out what you're talking about first, but okay. Nickel Samurai saw, convenient for him to wear the costume during the murder. Post-ceremony stage show right after the crime, you know? Must have worn the Nickel Samurai costume when he was stabbing poor Juan. I guess I'll just go autopsy report. Your Honor! Tits. Must have worn the costume when he was stabbing poor Juan. If he was wearing the costume when he was stabbing Juan, fingerprints wouldn't be on the knife. Because the costume is like a full body costume, right? So do I present the knife for the fingerprints? Save it again. Just in case I fuck up. Present. Let's take a look at this.
Yeah, so it's a knife. Big deal. You're trying to scare me with that. I'll have you know it won't work.
No, that's not my intention at all.
That's the knife that was used in the murder, correct?
Your Honor, you know why this piece of evidence is important to this case?
You don't even have to ask. It's because the defendant's fingerprints are on it.
Is that what you're driving at? That's exactly what I'm driving at.
What are we driving at? And whose car are we driving?
I can only imagine, yeah. Mr. Edgeworth was really in the Nickel Samurai costume at the time of the murder. Then it's impossible for his fingerprints to have been left on this knife. Actually, he would have wiped all his previous fingerprints right off.
Oh, that's right. Nickel Samurai wears gloves, doesn't he?
He probably took his gloves off before he began the stabbing. And why would he do something like that? To leave his prints on the murder weapon? There's no way he would do something like that. However, there is one possibility. Let's hear your possibility. It's very simple. The defendant went to the victim's room while in costume as the Nickel Samurai. At the time, the defendant held no intent to murder. He was probably just going to relax and talk to the victim about the stage show. Which is why he took his gloves off.
A murder still did take place.
Well known that there was bad blood between the defendant and the victim.
Yes. I've heard that before. Well, Mr. Wright, what do you have to say about Mr. Edgeworth's theory?
Let me get this straight. Edgeworth's theory goes like this. When the defendant went to the victim's room, he had no intention of killing him. Now, up to this point, are there any problems with the theory? This theory contradicts something in an earlier testimony. What are you blabbering about? Now, for argument's sake, let's suppose Mr. Ongard was the killer. If that's the case, I think it's impossible for the killer to have gone to the victim's room without intent. It's impossible for the killer to have gone to the victim's room without intent. This knife was used by Mr. Ongard at dinner.
Yes, we did establish that.
Which means that if my client was in fact the killer, then he brought this knife with him when he went to visit Mr. Kurita. I suppose. However, you just said it yourself. At the time, the defendant held no intent to murder. If that were true, then why would he bring a knife? He wouldn't, would he? Which means, Mr. Edgeworth, your theory was flawed from supposition 1. And one more thing. The murderer was wearing the costume at the time of the murder, and there should be glove marks left on the knife. Which means the defendant's fingerprints shouldn't be all over this. Shouldn't be all over it like bees on a hive. You can't just throw in that turn of phrase like we didn't establish that before. Shouldn't be all over it like bees on a hive. What? And that brings me to my final point. This knife was planted by the real killer to hide the identity and mislead us.
Order! Order, I say. Order in the court. Was this knife really planted by the killer? Why would the murderer do such a thing?
To frame my client, Mr. Enguarde, of course.
To frame?
Aren't you forcing this interpretation just a little too hard? We just established that the witness saw the Nickel Samurai in costume. And if it were true, then there shouldn't be a single fingerprint on this knife.
Ah! Witness! Looks like I've made your life a tiny bit more difficult, huh, Edgy-Poo? Ah!
You can hear Edgeworth grinding his teeth, but that's right.
Witness, did you or did you not really see the Nickel Samurai?
Well, I guess at first I might have forgotten, but...
You're saying you mixed up Mr. Enguarde with the Nickel Samurai, his character on TV?
But I mean, I can't really do anything about that now. Look, I was waiting around in front of the door because, well, I wasn't waiting around for the Nickel Samurai, that's for sure.
I wasn't waiting for the Nickel Samurai. Alright then. Who were you waiting around for then?
That's top secret to anyone inside of security.
I have a feeling that you were waiting for Mr. Juan Kurita. Am I correct, witness?
Ha ha ha. The way you think, you're a sad amateur with a terrible case of nearsightedness.
Amateur? Me? I mean, what am I an amateur of?
So, Oldbag was waiting around in front of the victim's room, but it doesn't sound like she was waiting to catch a glimpse of Mr. Kurita. Maybe Phoenix. Maybe the old bag was waiting. Maybe the old bag was waiting around for that person.
Mia?
That's what I think Mia's hinting at. It's certainly possible. This old bag. You were waiting around for this person to come out of the victim's room, weren't you? Probably waiting to catch, Adrian Andrews, weren't you?
Who is this person?
This is Adrian Andrews, Mr. Enguarde's manager.
Why would the defendant's manager be in the victim's room?
Seems that this is the latest rumor in circulation, Your Honor.
Oh, this is, oh, I see.
The judge seems to be really into the article. Can't be called such a thing.
And this manager with the initials AA, you saying it's...
Adrian Andrews, without a doubt, the witness thought so as well.
Like you found me out. Well, that's fine. Throw away this whole sworn to confidentiality stuff then.
Witness? What in the world are you?
Watch out, Phoenix. I've got a bad feeling about this. Very bad feeling.
I got some information. Some very secret information from a certain source. That's why I was doing my little own investigation. In secret, of course.
What for?
Oh, just for myself. Personal reasons and all that.
Well, Mr. Edgeworth, how will you proceed from here?
I really don't want to do this, however, I cannot simply let this point slide.
I see. Well then, witness, please testify about this secret information.
Get ready. Who's gonna take the wind out of you youngins?
Sure, we're all capable of handling this. Really, it's not like we're 10 years old. Oh yeah, what was on Lotta's, a tabloid article about the victim was in the case, stolen the night of the murder. Oldbag must have found Lotta's camera.
And on guard is one evil, evil man. He thought he could ruin poor Juan by causing a huge scandal. But to do that, he sent his own manager to get in close with Juan. Because cannot condone such dirty tricks, so I took action. Oh, and this is top secret. You got that? No one else but you and me know it yet, okay?
The defendant sent his manager. What a distasteful topic for this court.
What? Nobody's above gossip. Isn't there a saying? The truth is never pleasant.
Never heard that one before. Sir Edgeworth, what about this Adrian Andrews person?
We've looked into this matter. Found that the truth the article proposes is, in fact, baseless gossip.
But should this be true, this proves that the defendant did bear ill will toward the victim.
This means I have to smash this rumor once and for all.
Now then, Mr. Wright, you may cross-examine the witness.
Careful, the old bag seems rather excited right now.
That's right, Ungard is nothing but your average foul-blooded youth.
Well, as the old saying goes, gotta burn old bags with fire.
What?
I'm gonna fire up the afterburners and hit the highway at a... What the hell are you saying, Phoenix? Ungard is one evil man, and poor one by causing a huge scandal. Scandal? What do you mean by that?
You're a dim-witted one, aren't you? I can't believe you don't know what scandal is. Honestly,
What are they teaching kids in middle school these days? No, I wasn't asking what the word scandal means. Even I know as much.
well, that Ungard thought he could own a monopoly on popularity.
I don't have any proof that Mr. Ungard did any such thing. I don't know, man. I'm trying to fucking be young and hip, I guess. When did this game come out? Ace Attorney. Justice for All. 2002. Good lord. That's... Holy fuck. Game's old, man. When did the next game come out? Oops, nope. After this, Trials and Tribulations. Also Game Boy Advance, 2004. So these are all gonna be like the same style with none of the DS elements, probably. That's a little sad. Oh well.
You must be suffering from shock, the shock of hearing the truth. Now since you're so much shock, you can't do anything right.
You're right, I can't do anything. Boy, do I wish I could do something about you.
Alright then, Sonny, show me what you got. Can you show me proof that Ungard didn't bear any ill will towards Juan?
No. I don't have anything to offer.
See? Just as I thought. You were lecturing me about saying things without proof. You're just giving me a free pass to say whatever I want, whenever I want, silly boy.
With my big mouth.
That's the way the cookie crumbles, for you anyway.
So, what do you mean by I took action?
Like I already told you, I was lying in wait close to the crime scene. When that slimy woman came out of Juan's room, I was going to capture her and teach her a good lesson. Something you youngins need.
You're going to teach her a good lesson.
I was going to make her eat that damaging beams of my ray gun. Like this!
Oh, stop!
Well, it was too bad that the woman didn't come through the door that night.
Wait.
What? I'm a busy woman. Tea time with the kids is over.
Secret information that no one else knows yet. That's true, then how do you know this secret information?
Huh? Well, that's because I'm a pro. Yes, that's it. It's a secret. Even if you drill a hole into my brain, you'll never find out.
What world did an old bag get such a secret piece of information? But no one else is supposed to know this secret information, correct? That's true. Then why do you know it, Miss Oldbag?
Why are you looking at me like that? Stop it!
Witness. I hate to say it, but this is how you came to acquire your secret info, isn't it? Lotta's camera. The investigative photographer, Lotta Hart.
Oh yes, I remember that mischievous girl.
She reported that she had lost a certain note she had written to herself.
You reported such a thing?
On a piece of paper, she had written down some of her outrage impressions about the relationship between the victim and Miss Andrews.
What? Outrageous ideas, you say?
No, I said impressions.
And then everything written on this piece of paper is completely meaningless?
Aha! That's it. That's the note.
Ah! Ah! No, you see, this is something completely different. This is my top secret list of groceries to buy!
And you are the one who took Miss Hart's note.
I'm a huge fan of wands, that's why. That infamous puffy-haired whippersnapper. She's working with that evil on guard. She said so herself, on guard, I'm his sidekick. She was so happy, smiling like a silly duck. I was only checking what she had written. Poo, you believe me, don't you?
Yeah.
I was only trying to help out like the angel I am. It's only one little piece of paper. I've never taken anything else before.
You really should come with a supply of cheese to match your vintage wine. Man, fuck, I didn't know you were this funny, Edgeworth.
Well, it was only a piece of paper. I suppose we can overlook this just this once.
She's really sorry. Can I forgive her? If I let up on her now, she'll get away. I have to find some way to inflict a deafening blow to that prosecution. Witness! You said the only thing you stole was that note. Is that correct?
Stole? Why don't you listen more carefully, you annoying brat? I saved this piece of paper from a terrible lonely trash can, that's all.
You're lying, damn it, and I can prove it. Wow! Phoenix, you're swearing in court.
Are you putting my credibility under scrutiny again?
Miss Oldbag, I don't believe that note is the only thing you stole that night. Miss Oldbag, that note was with a camera inside its case, wasn't it?
A camera.
Yesterday, Lotta Hart was raising a huge stink over her camera. She kept saying something like, my sweet $1,600 camera disappeared on... My sweet $1,600 camera disappeared on me.
Why? Witness!
What is it, Gramps?
You have the note, then it's only logical that you have the camera too.
It looks like you found me out again, Sonny. Is this the camera you're looking for?
Ah, that's...
What? Even though it looks like this, I'm still a person, you know? I still eat meals like you, and I fall in love, and borrow things from people.
I think your definition of borrow is a little off.
I saw that woman's business card, and that's when I noticed it said, Slime Bag Celebrity Photographer Extraordinaire. Oh, when I saw that, I had to know what sort of picture she had been taking. I'm a professional security guard. It's my business to know these things.
Bailiff, check this camera's photos, hurry! You must examine them at once.
Thankfully the judges got, like, actually some skin in this game, and not just pushing it off to the next day.
Well, Mr. Edgeworth, what do we have?
There's only one photo that seems to be relevant to this case.
Please present it to the court. This is the Nickel Samurai.
So it is. And he's leaving... There's a bear in front, so that's Karita's room.
See, I told you. That's the guy I saw.
This proves that the witness was not lying earlier about this matter.
Let's vote out the court record.
What does this all mean, Edgeworth?
Yeah, so the bear means that this was Juan Karita's room. This photo by itself does not prove that the person in it is the defendant. However, by his own confession, Mr. Ongard clearly stated that
At the time of the murder, he was still in his Nickel Samurai costume. That is the case, then. This Nickel Samurai is... the defendant. How did it come to this? I think this brings us to the end. We have examined every piece of evidence thoroughly. Final comments, Mr. Wright. The court will consider them before we close. Do you agree that this photo is decisive evidence against your client? If this photo really is decisive, then we're done for. Raise an objection here and blow it. Put Mai's life in jeopardy. Can't make a mistake here. There's only one road out of this mess. This photo that Lotta took. There's... has to be something strange with it. There's something strange with this photo. I knew this was coming, right? Your thoughts, Mr. Edgeworth? I think we can all agree that there's nothing strange with this photo. There's no way for the defense to debunk this photo even with a bunker buster. Bunk with a bunker buster? Is that what you're trying to do, Mr. Wright? Anyway, please look at the photo one more time. You really believe you can honestly find something wrong with this photo? Then you should only need one chance, correct? Button. I need a button.
He's got a worm.
Whoever's wearing this costume is way shorter than Matt Ungard. Yeah, look at that. Like, it's weird that Will Powers' costume was so, like... Will Powers is a big dude. Matt Ungard is, like, way taller than that. That's not Ungard in there. I find something wrong with this photo. I can't let this chance go by. Where the heck did this photo... take this photo from, anyway? Pull out of focus. Why can't you take a good shot, especially when it counts? Now then, let's hear your objection. What about this photo is strange?
I'd like to direct the court's attention to this one area right here.
What are you pointing to? His ankles?
You could see this person's ankles. That would be one thing. However, you can't.
And? What does that mean?
The costume person in this photo could not have been Mr. Ungard.
What is the meaning of this?
I wonder if you'd care to elaborate, with actual facts, that is. Let's take a look at the Nickel Samurai's poster. Please pay particular attention to the area around the bottom of the Hakama.
His socks. You can see his socks.
Exactly. However, in this photo, the Nickel Samurai is clearly holding up his Hakama just to walk. There's only one explanation for this. The person inside this costume is clearly much shorter than the defendant. Alright, I think I've turned things around for myself this time. That's curious. Huh? What is? Edgeworth is unusually calm today. That's true. He's just letting the trial run itself, as if he's only along for the ride. Along for the ride? What do you mean by that? I can only guess that perhaps he doesn't feel under attack at all. He doesn't feel under attack? Then I haven't damaged his case at all?
No, I think I think the truth he came to is that, like, it's not about winning, it's about justice, which is good for him.
Mr. Edgeworth, where does this leave us? The person in this photo is not Matt Ungard, and everything the prosecution has tried to prove that has become meaningless.
Figured it would come to this. What? Right, I have something I want to ask you. I think you have proven that the person inside this costume is not Matt Ungard. In that case, who is this a photo of? It's the person wearing the Nickel Samurai's costume. Don't stress out over this, Phoenix. Very simple. What you should be focused on is Edgeworth's attitude, not what you don't you think?
Give this a save. But I know I'm gonna fuck up eventually. Yeah, why is he so calm?
So right, to your thoughts. Who's the person in this photograph?
My best guess is Adrian Andrews.
Adrian Andrews.
You want to know who that Nicholas Samurai is? It's none other than this woman. Why would you say it must be Miss Andrews? What in the world points you to her? Well, for starters, she's short. And she can freely move in and out of Mr. Ongard's room. Finally, she had dinner with Mr. Ongard that night.
And how does that all add up?
It means that it makes it very easy for her to get a certain item. A certain knife with Mr. Ongard's fingerprints all over it.
Knife that was used as the murder weapon.
Why don't you just say what it is you want, Miss Right? I have to do this now. This is my last chance to turn things around. Defense moves to indict Miss Adrian Andrews on the murder of Juan Corrida. It was Miss Andrews who tried to frame the defendant for the crime.
Order, order, order! Looks like this trial has had a most unexpected development. Sir Edgeworth.
Yes, Your Honor.
Court is issuing a subpoena for Miss Adrian Andrews. Verdict cannot be passed without first hearing her testimony.
Alright, this is it. It's kind of bad for us. Huh? What do you mean? If Adrian Andrews is summoned to court as a witness, it means that the trial will go on for another day. One more day? Ah! If I don't get a verdict today, then Maya...
Now then, shall we set Miss Andrews' testimony for tomorrow?
What am I supposed to do? The judge is about to join the court. I have to raise an objection, or Maya's fucked.
Now then.
Please, Your Honor, continue the trial. You must pass a verdict today.
Can't do that. Do not hear Miss Andrews' testimony if she is not...
Hold it. I abhor wasting such a valuable time. Edgeworth? Your Honor, I request that you please continue with today's trial.
But we cannot continue due to this unexpected development.
Unexpected development? I think you underestimate me, Your Honor.
What do you mean by that?
That Mr. Phoenix Wright would slave his way to subpoenaing Miss Andrews is all. Happening according to plan. Even if Wright was a bit slow to catch on. What?
What is the meaning of your statement, Mr. Edgeworth?
Miss Adrian Andrews is currently waiting for the in the prosecution's lobby. She's the next witness. Everything was planned out in advance by that man? Somehow, I knew there was no way Edgeworth would overlook Miss Andrews. Looks like this battle is far from over. Exactly.
Very well. We'll call for the next witness. However, before we proceed, we shall take a 10-minute recess. Please prepare your witness in that time, Mr. Edgeworth. Court will now take a 10-minute recess.
To be continued. I knew this was gonna be fucking bonkers long. Save. Hour and 20 minutes just for trial time. Dude, I can't believe that Adrian. No way. Not cool and collected Adrian Andrews. She's your manager. Very easy for her to pull this off. The person who had easy access to the knife you used at dinner was, well, her. After the ceremony, during the break, huh? I was sleeping like a log the entire time. God damn it, why is this always... See, she could have easily planted that blood-covered button in your comma. Hmm? She was the one that came to wake me up. Then, dude, you saying it really was her? Yeah, she was the real killer. She was the one who murdered Juan Corrida. You were sleeping in your
nickel samurai costume? Do you have an extra one? But why? I thought she was buds with Juan. She has her own agenda. Her own agenda? What are you talking about? I'm sure you'll see by the time the trial's over. It'll be alright. You acquitted by the end of today. Get me a verdict that's refreshing like a spring breeze, okay, Mr. Lawyer Dude?
Phoenix, you think her motive is related to Celestia Impact's missing suicide note, right?
Yes.
Miss Andrews depended on Miss Impacts for her strength and reason to live. Then Miss Impact suddenly killed herself. Sounds like she left a suicide note and the person thought to have hidden it. Juan Carita, victim of this murder. That's why I think that Miss Andrews got close to Mr. Carita. Look at the suicide note back. That sounds plausible. But one thing bothers me.
What?
Who was it that first told us about their relationship? Better stated, Miss Andrews' dependency issues with regards to Miss Impacts.
It was Edgeworth.
Looks like he's still the one in command of this ship. Don't let your guard down yet.
Oh, I forgot about that. Edgeworth was the one that gave us the hint. Court will now reconvene. Now then, Mr. Edgeworth, if you please. Prosecution calls the witness subpoenaed by this court. Miss Adrian Andrews, the person who discovered the crime in Mr. Juan Carita's room. You brought the fucking... You brought a calling card with you. This was in Maya's room. It's like, that's the killer's card. I'm the manager of the defendant in this case, Mr. Matt on guard. See. Now then. Before we begin, Your Honor, I have one request. Yes, sure. What is it? Everyone in this room is wondering the same thing. I would love to find out more about my relationship with the victim. After all, it was the topic of a certain weekly magazine recently. No, I have no idea what you mean. Never even heard of Gossipland. If the judge was ever a prosecution witness, he'd do all my work for me. Anyway, I was wondering if you could please tell us about your relationship to the victim. Yes, I was seeing Mr. Carita. I was also aware of the rivalry that exists between Matt and Juan. But this was a private matter between Juan and myself. It was a fry and bait matter. What was that bait and fry? Reminds me of fishing. But I didn't kill him. No one is accusing you of that. Yet. I think there's someone who'd beg to differ. I think we all understand your relationship with the victim now, Miss Andrews. Very well then, witness, please testify to the court. But what happened when you discovered the murder that had taken place? When I found the body. It was time for the show to start, so I went to get Matt from his room. After that, I went to Juan's room. And there was his dead body. I was in shock. What I saw was, naturally, the exact same scene as in the crime scene photo. I felt as though I was about to faint, so I poured myself a glass of juice. Poured yourself a glass of juice? That was from Matt Onguard's room. Yes, sadly, I didn't remember not touching things at the scene of the crime. And I disturbed the crime scene by moving this one thing. That's when the fingerprints on the wine glass were made, Your Honor. See. Well, Mr. Wright, you may cross-examine the witness. Phoenix. She's one cool and collected customer. And she has the brains to match. Yes, I know. In order to catch a person like her, you have to avoid head-on confrontations. You should disrupt her pacing. Disrupt her pacing? She's the type of woman who is easily thrown off by things inconsistent with her thinking. You have to attack when she least expects it. The instant you let up on your offense, the instant this trial is over, understand? Oh, fuck. What was Mr. Onguard doing at the time? He was taking a nap. He was worn out from his mini performance as the Nickel Samurai during the ceremony. Onguard did say he was taking a nap. I guess you could say it could not have been taken out of his room, correct? Excuse me? It? What are you...
Right? I thought years of school would have taught you how to construct a sentence. If you can't make a sensible sentence with a subject, then I'll make one for you. Watch. Did you, Miss Andrews, remove Mr. Ongod's knife from his room? No. Subject, verb, object, right? You skip basic grammar. The witness may continue. Why did you do that? As a friendly gesture, one was to make an appearance with the other heroes. It was supposed to be a show of friendship, huh? As long as I don't have any proof, she's not going to talk. Maybe we continue now. Witness, what did you see when you got to his room? You were in shock? What? Was I not supposed to be? Andrews is a very calculating person. Despite how close they were, I doubt she had romantic feelings for Mr. Kurita. Anyone randomly stumbling upon a dead body would be in shock. You can't seriously expect it that a young beauty like her would not be shocked. Somehow, I don't think beauty has anything to do with being shocked or not. See. This is the photo you're referring to, correct? Yes. With the knife lodged in the chest. The guitar case was like this too? Yes, it was open and empty, of course. Then what did you do next, witness? Juice? Yes, there was a bottle of tomato juice on the table. I helped myself. You didn't drink it, did you? Huh? There were no lip marks left on this wine glass to suggest that anyone drank from it. I wasn't feeling terribly great, so I set the glass down, without drinking it. Miss Andrews, I'd like to confirm with you one more time. When you discovered the dead body of Juan Kurita, you were in great shock. That's when you poured yourself out a glass of juice, correct? And what of it? My mind really was complete blank at the time. Oh, it was a complete blank? I think that was possible for you. Aren't you rude today? Those are the days that I made one careless mistake. That one thing. What one thing? Never mind. No big deal. Miss Andrews, I'm convinced that, as you said, you made a mistake at the scene of the crime. What I really want to know is what this mistake was. Actually, so would I. I'm sorry, it's kind of embarrassing. When I set the glass down on the dresser, I accidentally knocked the flower vase over. Oh, caught you lying.
Flower vase. You're talking about the one on the floor in the crime photo. It's messed of glass shards.
It was originally on top of the dresser. When I bumped into it with my elbow, it fell onto the guitar case. Why did you withhold such important piece of information? I'm sorry, I thought since the crime scene was already in disarray, that people would simply assume that the vase was another part of the mess.
Looks like yet another fact has come to light here. Please add this and anything else you have yet to reveal at your testimony.
Sorry, but I have nothing more to add. I didn't touch anything else. Got you. You testified that you knocked the flower vase over. Is this correct? Yes. Are you sure it fell onto the guitar case? Is there a problem with what I said? Not some problem. It's a major problem. It's true that the top of the guitar case was wet with water. However, that's exactly what is so strange. Miss Andrews, you testified that the vase fell onto the guitar case. However, if that were true, the case should have gotten wet on the inside, not on the outside.
That's very true.
Furthermore, there's one other strange thing about this guitar case.
And what is that?
Let's take another look at the crime scene photo. The remains of the vase are scattered on the floor.
And what's wrong with that?
If the guitar case was open when the vase fell, the glass shard should be inside, not outside the case. Ah. What's your point, right? That the case was closed at the time the vase was knocked over? Is that all?
No, think back to what Miss Andrews testified to. She said that other than the vase, she didn't touch anything else.
Yes, that's right. She did implicitly say she didn't touch the guitar case.
But this whole matter with the guitar case is a dead end. The bright red guitar was found in the studio. It has no bearing on this case at all. May very well be. However, the empty guitar case does seem to have no relation to the case, doesn't it?
Seems that there's no deeper meaning to the guitar case. Well, Mr. Wright, we think we need to hear more details about the guitar case.
May I testify, the empty guitar case. I believe this is a crucial piece of the puzzle. I can't believe anyone would reach for straws like that. But it is you. I can't believe I'm doing this either. What do you mean I can't believe I'm doing? You made a fucking parrot testify, right? Nothing is too strange in this courtroom.
Miss Andrews, please testify to the court about the guitar case.
Yes, Your Honor. I don't remember too clearly because I was a bit dazed. Suppose I must have opened the guitar case after I knocked the vase over. Not a big deal though, right? The case was empty after all. As far as I opened the case, even I don't know.
Looks like this really was a very important point.
This wastefulness is such a familiar feeling by now that it's almost comforting. Anyway, I'll just go ahead and start the cross-examination. Using any way to change the topic. A convenient escape for a weak man. Thank you, Edgeworth. So, you open the guitar case then? Yes, well, maybe. Bears Karita's fingerprints and no others. Why did you open the guitar case? Huh? Mr. Karita's dead body was right there in front of you, wasn't it? I think the first thing you would do is call for help, not open a guitar case. As the witness has said multiple times when she found the dead body, she was dazed. Maybe I was curious to know if the bright red guitar was alright or not. I thought maybe the criminal took it. Why would you care about a bright red guitar? But getting back on topic, I think I can just present on that statement. Yeah, your fingerprints aren't on it. There's no way you were the one who opened the guitar case. Why would you say that? Elementary, my dear. Because the only fingerprints on this guitar case are those of the victim. Yeah, I could just, that was an easy one. I could just present on that.
What is it, Miss Andrews?
You shouldn't assume that I must have left fingerprints just because I touched the case. What do you mean? What if I were to tell you that I was wearing gloves at the time?
Gloves? Why would you be wearing gloves at the time?
It was the night of the award ceremony. Of course I dressed up for the occasion. Yes, now that I remember. I'm almost sure I was wearing a pair of thin gloves.
I see. Well, Mr. Wright, it seems the witness was wearing gloves at the scene of the crime.
That's strange. You were wearing gloves. So isn't that a little strange? Your fingerprints are on the fucking glass. Why are you lying to me? Why is that strange? You have something that would prove I was not wearing gloves at the time? Yeah! Yeah, I do. I have your proof right here. This wine glass. The wine glass? You left your fingerprints very clearly on this wine glass. Even if you took your gloves off when you poured yourself this glass of juice, don't you think it was just a little strange that you put your gloves back on just to open the guitar case? What the fuck? What the hell was that?
Order! Order! Order!
Looks like you hit the nail on the head this time. What do you mean? I believe the guitar case plays a very important role here. It's just an empty case. I wonder if that really was empty, though. But the guitar, the bright red guitar was at the... Phoenix, you're so goddamn unimaginative. Phoenix, drop all of your presumptions. What was in the guitar case? Not the bright red guitar. You don't mean... It was just the bright white guitar? Wait, that's not right either.
Admit it would be unnatural for someone to do that. So, the witness was not wearing gloves, despite the fact that on the case. Your Honor, this is obviously the defense's usual misdirection tactic at work. Steer the court towards an unrelated topic and lull us all into his misguided... No, Your Honor. Please, recall that Miss Andrews had testified that the vase fell onto the guitar case, which means that the case was closed when the crime took place. However, it is wide open in the photo of the crime scene. I'm sure the guitar case had some relation to the murder. You're so sure, right? I'm sure you can somehow substantiate your outrageous claim, correct? Please, enlighten us as to why the guitar case had anything to do at all with this murder. Can you do that, Mr. Wright? Well, suppose, for a second, that bright red guitar was not the only thing that could have been in the case. Bright red guitar was not the only thing? You don't mean to suggest that a bright black guitar... So you intend to push your theory that the case was not empty. Is that right? I wouldn't say something I didn't intend to prove. It's like that head of yours. You haven't proven anything yet. What the fuck? I propose that at the time of the murder, what was in the case was a nickel samurai costume. Right? It's gotta be it, right? The only thing that could be... Yeah, the only thing that makes sense is that there was a nickel samurai costume inside the case. Now then, let's have it. What was inside the case at the time of the murder? Do I represent the nickel samurai or do I represent Laura's photo? I'm going to assume that it's the nickel samurai. This is a photograph. Yes, what is important is what is in the picture, Your Honor. In this picture. It doesn't take a genius to see what I mean. What I'm proposing is... Inside the guitar case was the nickel samurai, the hero's very own costume. What? Mr. Wright, explain yourself. Right, are you saying the witness opened the guitar case to take out a costume? What insane point would there be to doing something like that? That insane point would be to wear the costume, of course. Miss Andrews put it on to hide her identity so she could make her escape. After all, you couldn't let anyone see you leave, could you, Miss Andrews? I refuse to accept your theory. You have anything to support such a preposterous idea? Just outside the door was an investigative photographer who was starving for a big scoop. And in the end, she managed to get this shot, correct? You mean this photo? Order! Order! Looks like we've wandered into quite another mess again, haven't we? Nice job, Phoenix. Oh, you know my strategy. Speak first, think later. So the real murderer was hiding inside a costume. Wait 1 second, Your Honor. Nickel Samurai's costume would have been Mr. Matt on guards. Why would something of the defendant's be in the victim's room? And inside the guitar case of all places? True. That is a little baffling. Mr. Wright, court would like to hear your thoughts. What was the Nickel Samurai's costume doing inside this guitar case? Spare costume. Mr. Unguard did not take his costume off during the break period. In that case, the costume we were talking about was a spare one. What? Then, you're saying that on the night of the murder, there were 2 Nickel Samurai costumes at the Gatewater Hotel? Yes, that is what I'm saying. How do you explain the costume that was inside the guitar case? It would mean that the victim himself had brought this spare costume to the ceremony on purpose. But why? The victim, Mr. Kurita, was the Jammin' Ninja. Why would he secretly bring a Nickel Samurai spare costume with him? What could be the reason behind a peculiar act?
And therein lies the sticking point. What are you mumbling to yourself about? Have you just been rambling all this time without any sense of inner monologue? Huh? No, I just...
Mr. Wright, please explain yourself. Why do you think the victim had the Nickel Samurai's spare costume?
Phoenix, are you sure you can explain this one? Think carefully before you answer. Then answer with gusto, I believe in you. Alright, this is what I think. The reason the victim brought the Nickel Samurai's spare costume to the hotel was...
This.
On the night of the murder, after the stage show, the Nickel Samurai was going to hold a special press conference.
A press conference.
Yes, the Nickel Samurai was supposed to confess something at this conference. Oh my god. I heard about this as well. For once, you're not making something up, right? But what struck me as strange was that Mr. Ongard himself said he had no idea what he was supposed to be holding. That he was supposed to be holding a press conference that night.
But how can that be?
The way I see it, it can only mean one thing. The conference was set up by none other than the victim, Mr. Juan Kurita himself.
The victim?
Yes. The spare Nickel Samurai costume was prepared for that very conference. Mr. Kurita was going to hold a press conference as the Nickel Samurai.
He was going to dress up as the Nickel Samurai and hold a conference? Why would the victim do such a thing?
That's something I don't quite know yet. However, what I am concerned with right now is what he intended to reveal at the conference. The Nickel Samurai was going to confess something. And by confess, I'd wager he was going to reveal something about himself. Which means that Juan Kurita, posing as the Nickel Samurai, was going to speak about Matt Ongard.
I see. I guess that is what it would mean.
But if that's the case, that's not a confession. That's public disclosure.
Miss Andrews?
See why you are pros at what you do.
Pardon me.
Yes, just as you say. Press conference was set up by Juan.
Miss Andrews, please offer us an explanation for this.
I was the one he asked to help set it up. The person who prepared the second costume for him was also me.
You?
I'm gonna bet everything on the Jammin' Ninja this year. And if he lost the Grand Prix, he was going to make sure Matt was going down with him. That's what he thought, anyway.
He was going to ruin him, huh?
Looked like somehow Juan had in his hand a secret so powerful that it would destroy Matt's acting career had it been revealed. What?
Do you know what the secret of Mr. Ongard's is, Miss Andrews?
That's something only Juan knew. I don't know what it is.
Ah, I see.
I've probably been coming off as quite suspicious to everyone. That's to be expected. I've been trying to protect Matt, after all. Protect Mr. Ongard.
And yet again, another strange bit of truth comes to light, it seems. Miss Andrews, if you could, please tell us the truth about your behavior.
Yes, Your Honor. I understand. What the fuck does this mean? When I saw the crime scene, I had a feeling that Matt was the murderer. Oh my god! Is that what happened? Did Matt drive Celeste Impacts to suicide and Juan covered it up? How? That fucking bozo drove Celeste Impacts to suicide? I don't understand, like at all. What the fuck? I saw the crime scene and had a feeling Matt was the murderer. I had to kill Juan no matter what. He didn't have an alibi for what he was doing at the time of the murder. My thoughts were confirmed by the evidence, of course. Button and the knife. I'm Matt's manager, so I felt that I'd protect him. What the fuck?
This does account for everything.
Well, I am the logical type. Finally seeing her true self. She's more nervous than a scared rabbit.
If the defense can find no fault with this testimony, I'm ready to make a ruling. Please keep that in mind as you cross-examine Mr. Wright.
Everything is swung the opposite end of the how? Means I have to pull my weight into this. Put my weight into this and turn your logic upside down. The knife and the button. The button was planted on Matt, though. When I saw the crime scene, I had a feeling that Matt was the murderer. Matt had to kill Juan no matter what. He didn't have an alibi for what he was doing for the time of the murder. You can hardly call a knife decisive evidence. Fingerprints on the knife could very well be a clever camouflage. Then, what about the button? The button? It's clear from the crime scene that the victim and his murderer fought. During the fight, the killer ripped the button from the Jammin' Ninja's costume.
Talking about this button, correct?
That button was found in the pleats of Matt Sakama, isn't that correct? I would think it makes it very decisive evidence.
Ugh. Looks like you were outfoxed again, Mr. Wright.
Anyway, the knife doesn't prove a thing. Please fix your testimony. I can't stand the sight of a man who can't gracefully accept his defeat. Here's Mia still looking at me. With an icy stare, yes. What the fuck, Mia?
Miss Andrews, for Mr. Wright's sake, please add this information to your testimony.
Turn off Juan during the fight with Matt. How do you know that? On the ends of the thread of the button and the costume were match up. They found to fit perfectly together, so I heard. Why would Miss Andrews know about this case down to such fine detail? Harriet, you are not. I can't press that. The moment I saw the crime scene, I had a feeling it was Matt the murderer. That doesn't help me. Matt had to kill one no matter what. Didn't have an alibi for what he was doing at the time of the murder. Button was torn off during his fight with Matt. Strangled with a scarf, then stabbed. I present this. Let me save this first. You strangled from behind. It's not much of a fight. This is the victim's autopsy report. Clearly states that the cause of death was strangulation by a scarf. Strangulation. Knife stab to the victim was done after the victim had already died.
And what does that mean?
Examine the evidence. This button has the victim's blood on it, which would mean that it was ripped off the costume when? After the knife was stabbed into the victim. Exactly. Which means it is impossible that this button was torn off during the victim's final struggle, because the victim was strangled to death in that fight. Ah. That's right, Miss Andrews. There's no way this button was ripped off during the struggle. This button was consciously pulled off the victim's already dead body.
Order! Order! What is the meaning?
What is the meaning of this, right? So what if the button was torn off the body after the victim had already died? What does that change? Let me ask you one simple question, Mr. Edgeworth. Why was the button torn off? What purpose did that serve? What purpose? We now know that this button was not torn off during the fight, so the murderer took the time and effort to purposely rip this from the victim's body. That would mean that the murder had something in mind, wouldn't it?
Mr. Wright, what does this mean? Does this mean you know what the murderer wanted to do with the button? What was it?
To pin the crime on Guard. There's only one logical reason for doing something like this. Just to pin the crime on Mr. Guard. There's no way anyone would put a bloodied button in their own pants. That's right, Mr. Guard was set up.
By the real killer, of course. And the real murderer is... Well, Mr. Wright, who in the world is the real killer, then? Finally. I can't believe I managed to bring this trial all the way back up to this point. Phoenix, can't let your guard down yet. Not until the very end. Real killer, the person who planned to frame Matt Enguarde is... It was Wendy Oldbag! I knew she had it in her. Will Powers. It was Francisco von Kama. My best guess here is, Adrian, right? This is Adrian Andrews. I choose you. You are Mr. Corita's killer. What? Order, order, order! Mr. Wright. This is a very grave matter. Do you have any evidence to support your charge? Any evidence? All of the evidence points to Miss Andrews. Oh, how preposterous. You can't stick any of that on me. I can't, can I? Would you care to test me? Then, what about this knife? The knife was used to stab the victim after he had already been strangled to death. It was used to throw suspicion onto Mr. Enguarde, naturally. The knife covered in the defendant's fingerprints could have only been taken from his room. And the only one who had dinner with him and knew which knife to take was you. Then, what about the button that was found in Matsukama? This button was removed from the victim's body after he had already died. The only people who could have done so were the person who found his body or the killer. However, if Mr. Enguarde was the real killer, there's no way he would have put such incriminating evidence in his own Takama. How many pairs of glasses do you have? The only person who could have put this button onto Mr. Enguarde's Takama is the person who went to wake him from his nap. Which is you, yet again, Miss Andrews. I see. What about the empty guitar case? That is also another piece of evidence that incriminates Miss Andrews. This is, like, deliberately sexy, and it's weird. The costume was used to hide the real killer's identity. They knew exactly what they were doing when they were drawing this. Oh, that costume was used to hide the real killer's identity as they fled the crime scene. Now, who could have known that there was just such a costume inside the guitar case? And could only have been the person who prepared the costume for the victim. It could only have been the person who prepared the costume for the victim. That person is you, Miss Adrian Andrews. No, But Miss Andrews' fingerprints were nowhere to be found on the guitar case. And it was you who proved that she was not wearing gloves at the time. That's right. Because she did not intend on leaving any prints. If anyone had found that she had touched the case, they would have asked her why. To avoid leaving prints, she used a towel or something else to open it. But the glass of tomato juice is a different story. Miss Andrews purposely left her fingerprints on the glass to show that, yes, indeed, she was the classic dazed discoverer of the dead body. Didn't even give her a chance to put her glasses on. And to top it all off, there's this photo. A photo of the killer as they exited the scene of the crime. No reasonable person on Earth can believe that this nickel samurai is Mr. Enguarde. It would be much too short for his own costume if it was him. Speaking of how tall people are, Miss Andrews, you're also kind of short in stature, are you not? But please, stop. Well, how about it, Miss Andrews? Got her this time. Miss Andrews. I refuse to testify. What was that? There's a law. It says I can't be forced to testify about something if it can incriminate me. Well, yes. You are absolutely correct, Miss Andrews. The law does provide us with a way to avoid self-incrimination. But allowing a witness not to testify if the testimony can cause damage to... By allowing the witness not to testify, the testimony can cause damage to themselves.
What? Pleading the fifth is not something most people would think to do on the spot. Actually, thinking back on it yesterday in Mr. Ungard's room. Adrian Andrews? Yes? Think hard about what we just discussed, understood? Alright. That's it. When Francisca planted this idea onto her head. She must have told Miss Andrews not to testify if things look bad. You did a good job proving everything up to this point, Phoenix. There's still one thing you haven't done. Something I haven't done? Huh. What's wrong, right? Are you finished already? Run out of evidence?
What's so humorous, Mr. Edgeworth?
I'm sure you realize this as well, Your Honor. But everything that good lawyer there has proven up to this point is meaningless. What? Everything you have proven is circumstantial. Circumstantial. Yes, circumstantial. You have yet to provide a single piece of definitive proof. Proof that Miss Andrews did in fact harbor a wish to murder Miss Corita. Mr. Corita. Ugh.
Miss Andrews, you want to kill Mr. Corita.
This may lead to me incriminating myself, so I will abstain from answering.
Miss Andrews, if you do that, it would be the same as admitting your guilt, don't you think?
Maybe so or maybe not. There's nothing to prove it either way. Besides, you didn't even know what crime I would be guilty of due to my silence. Ah! No, she's taking that defiant attitude again. Mia, what should we do? Somehow, we've landed in the worst possible situation.
I think we have reached a certain conclusion at this point in time. Miss Adrian Andrews has refused to testify, and the defense's theory that she is the actual murderer has not been fully substantiated with solid definitive proof.
But it's not true.
In this situation, there is only one thing this court can do. That is to declare a recess.
Recess?
I request that both the prosecution and the defense look further into this matter. And at tomorrow's trial...
Tomorrow? We don't have it tomorrow. We don't get a not guilty verdict today, then. Please wait, Your Honor. That's not necessary. The trial? Please continue the trial. What are you sweating for? The client is getting one more day to live, isn't he? That's not it. This isn't about that. Edgeworth, I know you know who the real killer is. Please, let the trial continue. If we don't get the verdict, then Maya...
It's impossible to continue as long as the witness refuses to testify. Now then, this court is...
Edgeworth. It is not impossible for this trial to continue.
Mr. Edgeworth, what are you...
It's true Miss Andrews holds the right against self-incrimination, however, if the topic of conversation was something unrelated to whatever she may be guilty of, then she has no right to withhold testimony.
Yes, that is very true, but...
Actually, there is one little thing I'm curious about. Miss Andrews? When you found the victim's dead body, you poured yourself a glass of juice. Yes, and? I can't help but think how unnatural that is. Usually, when one finds a body, they are shaken up, not stirring a glass of juice. My actions were unusual, but I've already... While you speak, I want to state that if you have a reason behind your actions, I would like you to testify to that effect. Testify? Your Honor, I'd like to request that the witness testify again, as to what happened when she first discovered the victim's body. Whatever we find out in this testimony should in no way implicate the witness. I don't know what it is about Edgeworth today. I can't get a good read off of him. Is he friend or foe? I just don't know.
Court acknowledges the prosecution's request. Miss Andrews, if you please.
When I found the body. That's the juice, didn't really pour it for myself. I was surprised when I walked into the room and I saw it in that messy state. And one, he was sitting slumped over and tired looking in the corner. When I saw him sitting like that, I thought that he was dead didn't cross my mind. To be honest, I thought he had just fainted or something. I went to pour him some juice. When I realized that he was dead, when I knocked the flower vase over.
You pour that glass of juice for the victim. Why didn't you say so in your earlier testimony?
I needed to include something so trivial. Phoenix, please be careful here. I can't find anything wrong in this testimony. Nothing left. I know. Edgeworth, what the heck is going on in that brain of yours?
Now then, Mr. Wright, you may begin your cross-examination.
This is exactly... like... Phoenix, this is the exact same thing happened in, like... in Will Powers' case, where, like, he helped you out with D. Vasquez. Like, clearly he's on, like, the side of truth and justice. Didn't really pour it for myself. Surprised when I walked in the room, saw it in a messy state. So it was a mess. Are you sure it wasn't messy because of your fight with Mr. Kurita? That's a leading question. Understand your frustrations at not being able to prove your theory, however. Before you go accusing people of crimes, go find yourself some evidence. Then what did you see next? Slumped over. Yes, he was just sitting there with his head tilted forward, eyes closed. It really looked like he was sleeping. Smear, did that right there sound a little odd? What did cross your mind? Maybe he had smashed everything up in anger as he lost the Grand Prix. He felt tired after his rampage, so he decided to take a nap. Anyway, that's what I thought.
I see, so you didn't think he was dead at all.
Thought he fainted? He was asleep at first. And his room was such a messy state, I thought maybe he'd gotten into a fight with someone. When he went to pour the glass of juice. Yes, he always had a hard time waking up. I always had a glass of tomato juice to drink. Do. You didn't see the fucking knife sticking out of him? Witness statement's clearly faulty. See nothing faulty. Well, fuck you too, Judge. Sitting like that, I thought that he was dead didn't cross my mind. How did you come to realize he was in fact dead? Took him over and over, but he never got a response. So I set the glass down and the rest of him tried to take the pulse. I was shocked and staggered backwards. Knocked out the flower vase, that's what happened. Yes. This is what it all comes down to. Absolute end of both sides, Adrian's letting guard down. Bit harsh. When I realized he was dead, I knocked over the flower vase. There was a knife sticking out of him. Like, what do you mean when I realized he was dead? How do you not realize that? What the fuck? What it comes down to, absolute end for both sides, and Adrian is letting her guard down. Oh my god.
much chance yet to kill the prosecution's case. Harsh. Oh my god. I don't know where I can hit her on, though. Surprised when I walked into the room was in that messy state. Crime scene photo here? Why didn't it work the first time? You honestly didn't think he was dead when you found him? No, not at all. Even though this is what you saw when you discovered the body? Ah. What is the meaning of this? Isn't it obvious, Your Honor? There's a knife sticking straight out of Mr. Kurita's chest. Anyone who saw this scene would have immediately thought there was a dead man. That's, well, you see, a single person in the world would mistake this for someone who fainted. And then so nonchalantly go pouring something to drink. Your point is? Miss Andrews, your testimony just now, it was all one giant lie. Ah. And your lie has proven one thing very clearly, that you are the real killer. No! What do you mean, no? Of course it did. Looks like the defense has somehow brought the ugly truth to light. The defendant, Mr. Matt on guard, is not guilty after all. But that's impossible. Wrong. Miss Andrews, try to have some composure. It wasn't me. It wasn't me, I tell you. It was Matt, I swear. He's the one who killed Juan. But you were the one who refused to testify. Your reason for not doing so was that you might end up incriminating yourself. That's because... Miss Andrews, I will give you one last chance. What exactly are you hiding that may incriminate you? I refuse to testify. Well, shit. I don't know what you want from us, man. There's no need for this court to continue any further. The Matt on guard's innocence has been clearly demonstrated. Is it over? Have we found the truth at last? What's wrong, Phoenix? Usually, the real killers confess to his or her guilt. Now that I think about it, this is the first time someone hasn't. Now then, I'd like to hand down my verdict for Mr. Matt on guard. Your Honor, prosecution feels that it would be premature to pass down a verdict at this time. What? The reason is quite simple. This witness has yet to speak the absolute, real truth. The absolute, real truth. What are you? Witness? Don't you understand yet? Huh? I don't know who planted this silly idea in your head. As long as you protect yourself through your silence, Matt on guard will go free. And in his place, you will become the guilty party. That's a lie. I don't believe you. What? I was told if I spoke, then it would be all over, and Matt would never be declared guilty. What in the world are you talking about? Are you lost it? I can't speak about it. Too scared. Francisca von Karma. Huh? Remember, Phoenix? Miss Andrews lives by gripping tightly onto the words of others. Because she doesn't have the strength to believe in herself. Then, right now, Miss Andrews is... Yesterday, she was tossed a lifesaver by Miss Von Karma. Don't say a word, no matter what happens. If you do, Matt on guard will be acquitted. Miss Andrews undyingly believes in those words right now, clinging onto them. What should we do? This is the first time I've ever come across anything like this. But Miss Andrews has to be the killer, right? What to do now is get her not guilty.
Well, that is my only priority.
It was me. I'm begging you, please, believe me. I didn't kill Juan. Help, please.
Someone, help me.
You're right.
Yes, Your Honor.
Court can't continue like this, therefore I'd like to hear what you intend to do.
I intend to do. What am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to say?
Right, I suggest you think very carefully about this. Think about what this witness did and what she did not do. And think about who is the real mastermind behind this crime.
Who's the real mastermind? Isn't that obvious? What else it could be except that woman crying over there? Right?
Come now, what will you do? What kind of man are you, Mr. Phoenix Wright? Shit, man.
There's gotta be something bigger here, right? If we can force... fuck. We can't... Edgeworth knows there's something bigger going on. This is really good, yeah. Edgeworth knows there's something bigger going on, and he's hinting at something. But he can't say it outright. He has to lead me to it. Because I don't know. I'm not as smart as him, and I'm really good at walking the court through it, who are even dumber than me, apparently. Edgeworth knows the truth behind this. Adrian Andrews is not guilty. I don't think Andrews murdered Corrida. I don't know why. His name is fucking DeKiller. Why am I fucking waffling about this? The guy who kidnapped Maya, his name is DeKiller. Of course he's gonna be the fucking murderer in this case. Why am I fucking debating this? But can't bring myself to do it like this. Not when she's making a face like that. The Phoenix, you fucking suckered by her. Miss Andrews, I'd like to know what you were hiding.
Mr. Wright, are you sure you know what you're doing?
Sure, Mr. Ankar would get an acquittal, but in his place, you would be found guilty. Is this how you really want this trial to end? Be quiet. How dare you? How you trying to trick me?
That's enough. I commend you for trying, Mr. Edgeworth. However, believe that the defense's theory is the truth.
You're wrong. What a shame. I'd hoped things wouldn't come to this. However...
What is it, Mr. Edgeworth?
Mr. Andrews, since you absolutely refuse to testify, it falls onto my shoulders to disclose this to the court. Stop.
Mr. Edgeworth!
This witness, how should I put it? He has an illness. What? And because of this illness, she has tried to commit suicide in the past. So stop, please stop. No matter how much you want to hide it, it's no use. I have the evidence right here. That's the second part of the suicide report. The attempted suicide report. What will you do now, witness? You know what I'm about to do, don't you? I will now reveal to the court the true nature of the pitiful woman known as Adrian Andrews. The secret of her dependent nature? Having other people know about that scares her more than anything else in the world. Please stop. I beg you. If people find out, I'll... They're going to say you would choose death, then there's no concern of me. Edgeworth, that can be so cold. However, before you die, I will pull the truth from your still breathing lips. No matter what I have to do.
So, will you tell the court yourself or shall I? Either is fine with me.
I talk, but please help me. Nothing matters anymore. My crime. I first saw him, really thought he had fainted, honest. Realized he was dead when I formulated my plan. Once I made sure there was no one in the hallway, I made a dash back to Matt's room. Then, I stabbed Juan's dead body with a knife and ripped off the button. That's when I finished and returned to Matt's room. It had been an inconvenience. That's why I ended up using the Nickel Samurai costume.
Stab the body with a knife. Why would you do that?
Isn't it obvious? Pin the blame on a certain person. A certain cowardly man.
What do you mean by all of this?
I take this quote a little while to understand, but this is the truth. The real killer is Matt. That scumbag of a man. I'll never forgive him. He's trying to escape his guilt again. Trying to escape just like last time. Last time. So, Miss Andrews stabbed the victim, Juan Corrida, in the chest with a knife. However, she didn't do it with murder in mind. She did it with the intent of framing Matt on guard for the murder. And this is her crime. What? How is this possible? I mean, wasn't Miss Andrews supposed to be the real murderer?
You're right. Please get over your shock and commence with the cross-examination. I'm interested to see where this goes too.
Thought he had fainted. Formulated my plan. Once I made a dash back to Matt's room. An inconvenience? There was a woman with a camera at the ready, loitering in the hallway. I'm gonna bet my spikes it was Lotta. Also a woman with a ray gun and ready, pacing back and forth. That's Miss Oldbag for you. I'd already been caught and made into a big scoop for a certain weekly tabloid once. I couldn't very well go out looking like myself and get caught again. You're the one who prepared the costume, weren't you? Yes, I took it from the Global Studios. I also put it into Juan's suitcase. I also put it into Juan's guitar case the day before the award ceremony. You did this in preparation for the press conference, correct? Yes, Juan wanted to wear the costume and hold a press conference in it. He was going to disclose Matt's big secret there.
And what is the secret?
That I don't know. Anyway, I thought that if I were to leave Juan's room in the Nickel Samurai costume, people would think that Matt was the real murderer. I was very careful not to leave any fingerprints when I opened the guitar case. I absolutely did not want anyone to know about the costume. I want to concede, but if his testimony rings the truth... Sorry, Phoenix. No, please, don't apologize to me. I was taken by surprise. Still, I'm sorry. You could tell from the state of the room was in, there must have been a fight. You tell me the truth when you say you did not know he was dead? He had a scarf tied around his neck. The scarf is part of the Jammin' Ninja's costume, so I didn't think anything about it. It was strange. His head was also tilted down a bit, so I couldn't see his face that well. That's why I thought I'd wake him up, and went to pour that juice. What is this plane you had? I knew right away that the murderer was Matt. I knew it because, one, he was going to expose Matt's weakest point to the world. Matt did this to stop Juan, and silence him for good. That's when I thought I should forge some evidence and pin this crime on Matt. So the forged pieces of evidence were the knife and the button. First thing that came to mind was to plant the knife. Oh, so you could get the knife, correct? Knife Matt used at dinner, his fingerprints all over it. I thought that if I used that, then the police would certainly turn their eyes towards him. Matt was napping with his costume on at the time. Slipped in, took the knife, and returned to the scene of the crime. The one that stabbed the victim with a knife. It gives me goosebumps to think about it now. What a horrible thing I did. But at the time, I couldn't control my own body. It moved on its own. Then when I stabbed Juan's dead body, I suddenly realized something. If I used the button somehow, I could make Matt look even more suspect. But you thought to rip one of the buttons off and then plant it in Matt Onguard's Hakama. Yes, that's what I planned to do. Never go smoothly, do they?
I think we've heard enough. So, after that, you went back to Mr. Onguard's room and planted the button.
Into Matt's Hakama, yes. After that, I folded up the costume I was wearing, put it into the bag. Then I snuck out of the hotel and got rid of it.
My word. What does all this mean?
Edgeworth, is it? The real criminal is Matt on guard. Yesterday, that woman prosecutor sat me down for a talk. Francisca, huh? She said I should under no circumstances confess to what I had done. That if I just kept quiet, then Matt would be found guilty for sure. I had no choice but to believe in her.
What this witness has done is clearly unlawful. However, as long as her testimony stands, you can be certain she is not the real killer.
Wait, Your Honor. The defense is still... right? It's pointless. At this point in time, it is not possible to indict Miss Andrews on anything.
Yes, exactly. There isn't a single piece of evidence that points to her as the murderer. Cross-examination of this witness is over. So is today's trial. You couldn't establish the witness was the culprit. Please let it go, Mr. Wright.
But...
Mr. Edgeworth, please place Miss Andrews under arrest for further questioning.
Understood, Your Honor. The prosecution will arrange her detention immediately.
That is all. Court is adjourned for today.
Well, shit. Today's trial is over. Didn't win an acquittal. Witness, do you mind if I asked you something? Edgeworth? What is it? Before you leave the court today, I was wondering if I might look at one thing. That card in your hand. Had my interest for quite some time now. What exactly is it? Oh, this. Wright also asked about this. Though I didn't remember at the time you asked me about it, Mr. Wright. I remember just now. I found this in the room on that day. Room? That day. Yes. I found this card when I discovered Juan's body. It was lying there, right next to him. Found that card next to the victim's body, and you've been fucking twiddling it around. For that... That's clearly a fucking calling card! It's a literal call- What the fuck? Andrews! I suppose I must have unconsciously slipped it into my pocket. Not as if this card has any relevance to Juan's murder, right? I guess not, but it's still a strange card if you ask me. As far as it clues who's- I don't see why- Witness, that card! Give it to me, hurry! Edgeworth? Do you have any idea what you have stupidly yet inadvertently done? This... I can't believe you hid this from me all this time! I didn't mean to. What is this all about? Never seen Edgeworth this so emotional before. That card. What in the world is it? What does it mean? Oh, what the fuck? That's totally a calling card or something. Oh, damn. I really didn't expect this to go further. I thought this was gonna be pretty cut and dry, like blame Andrews and we'll like have something to deal with later with the killer. But yeah, fuck, what the fuck am I thinking? The killer is like almost 100. The killer is 100% an assassin. Fucking name is the killer. God. So, what the fuck happened? So, if the killer is an assassin and he wanted to get an acquittal for Matt, Matt probably hired. Yeah, Matt probably hired the killer to take out Juan Corrida. And then the killer left the calling card. But because Andrews came and tried to pin the blame on Matt, the killer had to turn around and kidnap Maya so as to force an acquittal for Matt in one day. Right? Gotta be something like that. March 22nd, 5:24 p.m. Right in Call offices.
Mystic Maya, Mystic Maya.
Well, we're gonna have to be sad later, Pearls. Because, like, God, this is a lot to process, and it's like, I've been streaming for 2.5 hours. This was a stupid long trial. Good lord. Alright. Fuck, this is getting really good. This is way better than the last one. Man. So, what I figure is that, yeah, what I said earlier, Matt on guard. It's gotta be related to, like, what before. Probably... Why did Matt need Juan dead? If Juan was going to hold the press conference as the Nickel Samurai in order to confess something... Oh, I know, it's getting really good. Okay, so, what do we know? After the award show, Juan was going to dress up as Matt and somehow ruin his career by confessing something. What I figure is that 2 years ago, Matt must have been responsible for the death of Celeste Impacts. Either through his own hands or, like, he ordered a hit on Celeste somehow. That I'm a little bit unclear of, but it's gotta be something like that. Matt is involved in the death of Celeste Impacts, and at this award ceremony 2 years later, Juan Corrida was going to incriminate Matt on guard in that death. Matt got word of this ahead of time and ordered a hit on Juan Corrida using the killer. The killer took out Corrida, but then he saw that Adrian Andrews went and tried to frame Matt on guard, his client. So he had to set up... So he had to kidnap Maya, assign me to the case, and get Matt an acquittal day one. Because if we push this out any longer, they're 100% going to find out the truth of it. So I guess that means Maya's fucked. Sorry, Maya. Damn, this is getting really good. Alright. Shit. This is getting really good, but unfortunately I have to call it here for tonight. It's getting late. We've been here for a while. And I'm tired now. So, we'll call it here for tonight. Man. We'll see how I feel tomorrow. It's probably going to be a coin flip whether or not I jump back on and like take a look at some more Ace Attorney. Because if that is the case, I might just move my whole week back a day, Labor Day. Stream Ace Attorney tomorrow,
take Thursday off and then stream Doki Doki on Friday. Because man alive, is this getting fucking good. Shit, man. We'll see how I feel tomorrow after work. If I'm feeling up to it, I will stream Ace Attorney tomorrow. Because this is getting really good. If not, I'll take a nap. We'll do Doki Doki, and I'll think about doing Ace Attorney on Friday. But until then, thanks for hanging out. This was really, really good. I quite like this. So, yeah, that's the plan. Fucking bye.